Hi, I'm Melissa and I'm going to be showing you some tips and tricks for a ring sling, how to get a great seat in a hip carry, and also the tummy to tummy position. First thing we want to do to thread our ring sling is to go ahead and spread it across your back and put your rings over your shoulder. I wear my rings on my right shoulder. And then I'm going to take the tail and bunch the fabric up, making sure not to twist the fabric. I can then feed this up through both rings and then down between them. I'm using a Girasol wrap conversion ring sling that's in our lending library. And then I'm going to pull tight. A lot of times you'll notice with a ring sling, the fabric will get bunched up on itself in the rings. So there's a couple of things you can do. One thing you can do is, I'm going to take the ring sling off to show you this. You're going to locate both rails, and you're going to make sure that you get one rail isolated all the way to the edge of the ring, where it meets up with the gathered shoulder. So you're going to isolate that rail, and then you're going to take your fingers and stick them between the two rings, and you're just going to gather the fabric over your fingers. And this helps to make sure that there's no big spots where the fabric is folded up on top of itself. It just creates a nice, evenly spread starting point. And you just do that till you get to the other rail, and then you're going to make sure that each rail is pushed as far as it can be up to the gathered shoulder, the sewn shoulder. And then as you can see, my fabric's nice and even around. There's no big folds over itself. The other thing you can do is, once you get this back on, you can always grab your rails, so you make sure that your inside rail is adjusting your top, and your outside rail should always adjust your bottom. And if you notice that things are getting a little bunched, you can just give these a pull, and it will get the rails isolated, and then you can kind of spread the middle as you see fit. So the key to a ring sling is to make sure that you do most of your adjustments before you put your little one in. This method that I'm going to show you first is a hip carry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the rings where I need them, which is about corsage level. I'm going to grab the bunched fabric between my thumb and my index finger, and I'm going to pull down as far as I can, and my thumb should just barely touch my hip bone. And that tells me that once I get the little one loaded in, that they're going to be at the right height. I'm going to go get my little guy who escaped. Silly boy. He made it far. All right, ready? So I'm going to do the hip carry again, and I'm going to get him in a nice high bird position, reach under the fabric, and get his legs in. I'm going to keep this fabric bunched. I'm not going to spread it yet. So I'm going to get both legs in. I'm going to get him where I want him on my hip, leaving the fabric bunched, and the fabric should be underneath both knees. So as you can see, it's underneath both knees. I have him where I would naturally carry him on my hip. This is right where he would be. And as you can see, my rings kind of move down a little bit. So what I can do is I can bounce and pull up. And because this is, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Because this is still bunched, it's easy to readjust the rings. So I'm just going to go ahead and bounce and lift him off a little bit to move these rings back up. Make sure that my fabric is cupping my shoulder and the fabric's still nice and spread across my back. So now what I can do is I can reach back with my thumb And I very easily find the top rail and bring that up and over his shoulders. And as you can see, his seat didn't change. It was nice and deep when he was on the bunched pass, and it's exactly the same now that I brought this up over his shoulders. Usually your top rail is a little loose. You can feed the slack around, take your inside rail, and pull back towards the loose fabric. That's going to help you tighten. With ring slings, it helps if you either bounce or if you just lift the weight of the baby a little bit off the rings, you can tighten a little bit easier that way as well. And this method is a great way, like I said, to keep that nice deep seat. If you feel you need to, you can reach between yourself and your little one and grab that bottom rail and pull it up even more between you. And that is the hip carry. Good job. Now to loosen your rings, to take your ring sling off, you would just pull up on this ring and pull. You can take baby out the same way you got them in. And now I'm going to show you the tummy to tummy carry. You can do the same method that I just showed you for the tummy to tummy carry. I found that sometimes they end up a little bit too high with that method. So what I'm going to show you is a different way that you can use. Certainly try the method that I just showed you for the tummy to tummy carry. It works for some people and it doesn't work for others. It's just a trial and error figuring out what works best for you and your little one. So this method, you're going to take your arm and bend it and stick it in your ring sling and have it straight up and down. You're going to pretend that your elbow is actually your little one's bottom, and you're going to tighten your outside rail, so your bottom rail, and you're going to pull that nice and tighten it around your elbow. You're going to imagine that your little one is sitting in the letter J. So what I'm doing here by tightening that bottom rail is creating that nice deep seat. Then I can tighten around my arm. When tightening a ring sling, like I had mentioned before about lifting the weight off of the rings, it's also important when you are tightening to pull across your body this way, starting with your inside rail to tighten your top. As you move down the width of the fabric, I tend to pull less this way and more down. So now I'm going to go grab my little one again. Are you my escaping baby? Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and load him in by putting him in a nice high birth position, reaching under the fabric and feeding his legs through. Taking my top rail and pulling it nice and high over his shoulders and lowering the bottom into that seat that we created. Oh my goodness, it's okay. It's okay. Like I showed you before, you can reach between the two of you, grab that bottom rail, and pull it nice and high, making sure that the fabric is spread from knee to knee. And I've got him in a nice deep seat here. Fabric's nice and high up over his shoulders. Make sure to remember, especially when you have a very young baby, you want their back to be nice and supported. So to do that, you want to make sure that you're tightening the middle of your ring sling too, which is going to be this fabric here in the middle of the tail. If you feel like when you press on your little one that they straighten up a lot, then that means you need to tighten the ring sling some more. You want to have a nice supported back. That makes sure that their airway is nice and open. You want to make sure their chin is never to their chest. If you ever notice any strange sounds, funny breathing, go ahead and remove the little one from the ring sling. Take them all the way out. check their breathing, readjust, and try again. Good job.